This is a once a year video. Let's do it. Hey everyone, and thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And especially thank you for allowing me to get above 20,000 subscribers. We did it. I just released a video a couple of days ago talking about some of the analytics on the channel, some of the demographics, and also just giving a more in-depth thank you to you guys for getting me above 20,000. I really appreciate that. So if you're not subscribed, I would love it if you could hit the subscribe button and join me here. We're talking hockey pretty much on a daily basis. We're doing geography trivia. We're doing jersey concepts. We're doing all kinds of fun things with some lighthearted content. So if you're looking for a style of video like that, I would love it if you could join me. All right, so let's get into this video. This is a once in a year, basically, video that I do talking about my favorite teams in order from 1 to 31. So technically the video is about my favorite teams, but all my favorite teams aren't all 31 teams. So it's kind of a weird video to name, but I would say that I have one favorite team, the Montreal Canadiens. Sorry to spoil the video for you, but if you know me, then you know who that the Montreal Canadiens are my favorite team. Anything after the Montreal Canadiens is floatable. It moves like an ocean of waves that kind of floats around depending on the players, depending on what happens. So that's really here what I'm here to talk about is this entire list. Now I do have, I would say, 4 other teams that I actively strongly cheer for other than Montreal. Anything else after that moves around a lot, but generally the top 5 pretty much stay the same. So let's start off with my least favorite team in the NHL, and it is a team that has never been last on this list before in my previous videos. It is the Ottawa Senators. Strictly due to ownership. This has nothing to do with the coach. This has nothing to do with any of the players. This has nothing to do with the city of Ottawa. This has nothing to do with other general management. This has everything to do with the owner. Eugene Melnyk is one of the most toxic people involved in hockey, in my opinion, in the entire sport of hockey, not just the NHL, an entire globe of hockey. I think he's conniving. I think he's untrustworthy. I think he's rude. I think he's fake. It's public knowledge that some players don't like him. It's public knowledge that players' families don't like him. It's public knowledge that the most of the Ottawa, I would say a good portion of the Ottawa fans, the Senators fans, don't like Eugene Melnyk. He says stupid things. He does stupid things. He's not perfect. I'm not expecting him to be perfect. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes all the time. But he makes really stupid mistakes, like at least once a year. And I think fans are just tired of it. I feel really bad for the Ottawa Senators fans. They don't deserve to have Eugene Melnyk as the owner, and I'm sure other owners in the league are just tired of the antics from Eugene Melnyk. And I can't bring myself to cheer for a team with an owner like that. So it sucks that I have a Canadian team last on my list. But until Eugene Melnyk leaves there, Ottawa's always going to be pretty low on my list. Number 30, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Penguins fans, you guys probably know that you were going to be pretty low on my list. If you're familiar with the channel or stuff that I've done in the past, I love cheering for underdogs. I don't like cheering for teams who win constantly. And it's really a compliment. And some people don't understand that, but Pittsburgh is so good and consistent that I'm just kind of tired of watching them play in the playoffs. They're that good. They're always there. They're always generally at least going to the second round. That's just how good they are. That's how consistent they are. There are players on Pittsburgh that I really like. And usually I cheer for players more than I cheer for teams. So it's hard putting some of these teams down low when there are players on some of these teams that I really love cheering for. I had the opportunity to watch Pittsburgh earlier this year in Boston, and it was a fantastic experience. I really loved that. I got to see Sidney Crosby play. He scored a goal. It was just a great time. So I appreciate Pittsburgh. I respect everything that they've done in the history in the past, we'll say, 11 years. But I love the underdog story. I love cheering for underdogs, and Pittsburgh is not an underdog, and they won't be an underdog soon. However, things change. I would say in 5 years, things could change. I'm not saying Pittsburgh isn't going to be good in 5 years. I'm just saying, think about Chicago. Chicago was almost always 30th or 31st on my list in these past couple of years. But Chicago's fallen down a little bit. They're rebuilding. They're starting to. They're almost kind of the underdog now, and Chicago's not 31st or 30th on this list. So it's a good indication that Pittsburgh does have the chance to move up my list. Number 29, the LA Kings. Kind of for the same reason a little bit. LA won. I was actually genuinely cheering for LA in the first cup because they were the underdog. They came in as an 8th seed, I think, and won the cup. That was awesome to see. But then they won again 2 years later, and then they were pretty strong for a couple of years after that. I don't really like their jerseys that much. I don't really like their logo that much. My favorite player on the team is Kopitar. I love Kopitar. But outside of him, there's not really a lot of players that I cheer for that much. So I feel like there's a bit of life missing in LA. I'd like to see them kind of be revitalized with some new players, maybe New Jersey, a logo, something like that. I kind of think the wheels need to be started again for the Kings. 28, Boston Bruins. This one was a tough one for me because as a Canadiens fan, clearly I'm not going to cheer for Boston, but there are so many players on Boston that I genuinely like. I actually think there are more individual players on Boston that I like more than individual players on Montreal. That is not something I should publicly say on camera, but it is the truth. Boston is not the same Boston team from 10 years ago. They have some of the classiest players in the league. I just love how their team is composed. I love the personalities on the team. I don't like Brad Marchand. You guys know that. But the team in general has a roster of players that I really like. Still, they're the Boston Bruins, and they got to be low on my list. Number 27, Tampa Bay Lightning. This really falls into the Pittsburgh category of team that's just too good, and I'm just tired of seeing them, do well. Obviously, they, I don't want to mention last year or anything because bad things happened. They didn't have the playoffs that they were expecting, but still, Tampa's just always at the top. They're always so good. They've already won a cup. I tend to cheer for teams who haven't won a cup before. So, Tampa, until you really fall down the list, you're probably going to be pretty low on my list. Number 26, the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think last time I did this video, they were 20th or 21st. So they've fallen down some. And it's due to the fact that, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, the other superstars on the team, Nylander, it's great that they have those players. I genuinely like all those players. I don't really hate any player on the Maple Leafs. I don't even really dislike any player on the Maple Leafs. There are tons of players that I like, but there's just so much drama that comes with the Toronto Maple Leafs and media and advertising. It's just like in commercials, I'm constantly seeing commercials of Matthews and Marner, and there were expectations there that even I, as a Canadiens fan, had of Toronto to do well in the playoffs. And they just kind of didn't. So I don't know if it comes down to maybe they're being paid too much, being too young, and they're not really in the right mental mind space yet or something. I don't really know. I'm not trying to blame them for anything. I just feel like they haven't met my expectations, and I know they haven't met a lot of Maple Leafs fans' expectations. So I want to see more out of Toronto. I actually genuinely want to see them do well and win a cup. They deserve it. Their fans deserve it. They need to get their act together, though. Number 25, the New Jersey Devils. A team that I really started to cheer for again in the past couple of years, but last year I felt they made some questionable roster decisions. They had goaltending troubles. They were extremely inconsistent. They just made some decisions that I don't know. I was never in love with them, but I felt like I fell out of love with them a little bit. They're just, I don't want to say boring, but I don't know. It's just not a lot to cheer for me with the Devils. Number 24, the Philadelphia Flyers, a team that likely has moved up my list a little bit. Have never really been a big fan of the Flyers. They put out my Canadiens in 2010 conference finals, so since then I'm a little bitter. But regardless, I love their jerseys. I like their logo. Their color scheme is awesome. I like a lot of the players on their team. I would like to see them have success and go pretty deep, but yeah. 23, Detroit Red Wings. This is a team that was always near the bottom of my list. This is the example of Pittsburgh or Chicago or whatever, a team that was good for so long, for so ever, and I've just got tired of watching them. They fell down, and now they're kind of rebuilding, and they're bringing themselves back up. And that's, I think, the story of a team falling and coming back to life is way more appealing than a team that's at the top constantly going after the cup or whatever every single year. 22, the Nashville Predators. I predicted that the Nashville Predators would beat Chicago in that first series a couple of years ago. I was so high on Nashville. I just had a really good feeling about them, and usually my predictions are wrong. So that prediction, the fact that I got it right, has really stuck with me these past couple of years. And after that, I really started to cheer for Nashville quite heavily. But then, I don't know, they got kind of cocky a little bit, and PK Subban just, I don't know, he was just typical PK Subban. He just did things on the ice that just frustrated me. So obviously he's not with Nashville anymore, but I still want them to win. I think it would be cool to see them get a cup. I think their fans are fantastic, like the Bridgestone Arena, and seeing that whole crowd just go crazy. I think that whole area just has such a love for hockey, and I really appreciate that in a fan base. But the team itself, they're just kind of a middle ground for me. Washington Capitals, at once, even recently, this team was in the top 10. And my rule, if you guys know, once a team wins a Stanley Cup, they usually start to drop down my list, and this is the perfect example. I really like Ovechkin. I love Backstrom. I love a lot of the players on this team, but they won a cup. It's, they did it. They did exactly what I wanted them to do. Now it's time for them to cool off a little bit and give other teams a chance. So I put them 21. Number 20, the Anaheim Ducks. Just a middle ground team for me. I like San Jose. San Jose is pretty high on my list, as you'll come to see. The Ducks are a rival of San Jose, so I don't know. A team that's gone through some transitions, but still a team that doesn't really have a lot to cheer for me. I don't hate them, but I don't like them. I love Rickard Rakell. Rickard Rakell is probably one of my favorite players in the entire league, probably top 5. So, like I said earlier in the video, I like to cheer for specific players versus teams. Number 19, the Chicago Blackhawks. Blackhawks fans will probably be pretty happy about this because, like I said, and if you're familiar with past videos, they've always been pretty low on my list. So the fact that the Blackhawks are in the top 20 is a really big, maybe the most important thing in this video. So the Blackhawks are a team that has changed immensely in the past 10 years. Obviously, they have the general core together with Taves and Kane, Crawford still there, Keith and Seabrook, and some of these players will be retiring soon. But there are so many new faces in Chicago, and I feel like even the fan base has kind of grown up a little bit. They don't have the expectations that their team is going to win in the past couple of years, and they've kind of come back down to earth a little bit, and they're just kind of at the same level as we are now. So they understand how to lose. So I kind of enjoy their rise a little bit, and I predicted that they would do better this year than most people. I think I saw them getting into the playoffs, and they might have actually gotten to the playoffs if we got a chance to see the season finish, and they still technically kind of might get into the playoffs if they win their play-in series, so who knows. Number 18, the Minnesota Wild. I put them, for the most part, middle of the pack. They made a couple of transactions in the past couple of years that I don't know, I didn't really like. They gave up a first, a second, and someone else, or maybe another pick, I can't remember, for Martin Hanzal and White, I believe. We're going back 3 or 4 years at the trade deadline, so my memory isn't the best. But that trade, I just felt was really stupid. Like, Martin Hanzal's an okay player, decent, but you way overplayed for a player, and a player with injury history. And look at Martin Hanzal now. I think he just announced his retirement, I think, possibly. He's played 45 games in the past 2 years. So, I mean, that's nothing against Martin Hanzal on a personal level or anything like that. It's just, I think that Minnesota overplayed for that player, and that was just a silly, what's the right word I'm looking for? It was a silly structure decision, a structure move. I think it was a bad decision for the team at the time. And if a team's going to make decisions like that, I kind of don't trust them. They're not giving me a reason to cheer for them. I do like Mikko Koivu. Obviously, I'm a Saku Koivu fan, so Mikko Koivu I'm definitely going to cheer for, but just generally, middle of the pack for me. 17, the Buffalo Sabres. I really want the Buffalo Sabres to do good. I know Buffalo Sabres fans want Buffalo to do good, but they just don't. It's so frustrating. I can't even imagine being a Buffalo Sabres fan. As a Canadiens fan, obviously, I have frustrations, but as a Sabres fan, I can't even imagine how frustrating and depressing it is to be a Sabres fan and to see Jack Eichel literally take 17 other players and a couple of goalies on his back and try and push his way into getting into the playoffs and still not make it. He just has the weakest supporting cast, I think, of any team out there. It's a damn shame. Buffalo Sabres fans are extremely passionate, intelligent, and they want to see their team win, and I want them to see their team win. I would like to see Buffalo go pretty deep. I hope it happens soon. I hope next year they really bounce back. 16, the Arizona Coyotes. I don't love them, don't hate them. Middle ground for me. Don't have anything negative to say about them. Don't have anything positive to say. They're just kind of one of those teams for me. Number 15, the Edmonton Oilers. I was cheering hardcore for Edmonton back in 2006, and they kind of fell off the map after that. So I kind of stopped watching them a little bit. But with the insurgence of McDavid and Draisaitl, they had a really good run the other year. It was just some of the best hockey I've ever watched. Then they kind of fell off the map a little bit. They obviously, those two players are still playing strong, but they also don't really have a great supporting cast on the team. So as a Canadian team, I want to see them win. I think they deserve to win a cup. I think I would love to see McDavid win a cup, but they're definitely not one of my favorite teams, or favorite Canadian teams. Number 14, the Florida Panthers. This is a team that used to be, I think, in my top 6. Then they fired Gerard Gallant. You'll notice a trend in this video coming up that if you fire Gerard Gallant, your team moves down my list. Gerard Gallant is probably my favorite coach in the entire NHL, even though he's technically not coaching right now. But the Florida Panthers, they did him wrong, I think. They did him wrong, and when they do anyone who does Gerard Gallant wrong, they do me wrong too. So Florida, bad decision, even though your team is in a pretty decent spot right now. It looks good for the future. You got some amazing players, and things will probably happen that'll make a lot of Florida Panthers fans happy in the next couple of years. Good things will happen for the team, but still, middle of my list. Number 13, the Vancouver Canucks. It's kind of one of those teams that are kind of in the middle for me. Canadian team, yeah, I like to cheer for Canadian teams. Love the young talent on this team. A lot of players I really like, but I don't know, just kind of in the middle. Number 12, the Calgary Flames. Definitely one of my favorite Canadian teams, but I think they have the best jersey and logo of maybe any Canadian team. So I really like that about them, which is a silly thing to like, but as you guys know, I like jerseys. They have some players that I don't like, and they have players that I do like. So I really kind of fought with myself to see where I would put them in the list, but I felt 12 was a reasonable number for me. Number 11, the Vegas Golden Knights, a team that I literally fell in love with. I got an opportunity to go down to Vegas for approximately 3 weeks. Got to see a playoff game down there. I got to meet so many incredible fans. Just the memories that I have of going to that playoff game, seeing the Stanley Cup Finals game from literally outside of the arena, celebrating with the fans outside, hanging our heads low when the team lost. It was an experience I'll never forget, and it made me love the team. But you fired Gerard Gallant, a coach that I don't think deserved to be fired. Here's what that meant to me. Your team was at the time out of the playoffs, but still well within the possibility and almost certainly likely to get into the playoffs. You can disagree with that. That's fine. Whatever. But it was probably going to happen. Vegas was almost certainly going to get into the playoffs. The fact that the team, maybe not the team, but the management gave up on Gerard Gallant at the first sight of a small amount of adversity and kicked him off the team means, okay, so you never trusted him from the beginning? What's going to happen when, Carlson just falls off the face of the map? Or Pacioretty? Are you going to trade him just because he had a down moment or a down year or something like that? Are you going to give up on Pacioretty? Are you going to give up on Stone? Are you going to give up on Carlson like you did on Gerard Gallant? That's how I feel. I feel like they gave up on him. That pisses me off. So, Vegas fans, I love you. I love you all. Vegas as a city, I love you. T-Mobile Arena, I really love you. But you're not in my top 10 anymore because you fired Gerard Gallant. Number 10, the Islanders. The New York City is one of my favorite teams, or one of my favorite cities in the world. It is my favorite city in the world. So that whole area, even including New Jersey and Long Island, I love that whole area. It's Hollywood. No, it's not Hollywood, but it's the movie magic. There's so many movies filmed in that entire area. I've been to New York City 4 times. I love it. I've been in Brooklyn a couple of times. Love it. And the Islanders' colors are probably the best out of all those 3 teams. No offense, Rangers fans. No offense, Devils fans. But I really like orange and blue together. I like their history. I like the structure of the team. You don't have that crazy one superstar. It's a very deep, structured team, coached very well. So I really appreciate that. So yeah, thumbs up to the Islanders. Number 9, Columbus. An underdog team, a team that is kind of built like the Islanders are. They don't really have that superstar. They're their success is based on their contribution to the system that they play, not really on talent. They have one of the most dynamic coaches in the NHL, if I can say that. He's very emotional, very intense, a coach that I never really liked until he came to Columbus. He really changed his personality quite a bit. He's still that intense coach that he used to be, but he's more comical now, I think, in a more respectful way. He's more level-headed, and I appreciate that. So I think Columbus deserves success. I think they'll get it, and I think that they did a tremendous job this year based on their injuries and still being competitive. So massive shout-out to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Number 8, the Winnipeg Jets. This is definitely my favorite Canadian team other than Montreal. I like their colors. I like their history. The fact that they came back with a new team. The players on the team, Kyle Connor is tremendous. I like Hellebuck. There's a lot of players individually on the team, regardless if it says Winnipeg or if it says the Jets on the team name. Just the players individually, I really like just as a hockey fan. So it's easy for me to cheer for Winnipeg. And I got to see them play in a playoff game in person in Vegas. So that experience to me also kind of elevated them up a little bit. Number 7, the New York Rangers, and this might shock a lot of people because the Rangers have always been pretty low on my list, but they did something really bold the other year, like randomly. I think even before the trade deadline, I think it was like January or late January, they said, yeah, you know what? We're just going to do a rebuild. Let's just blow it up. That's what they did. They traded like 5 or 6 people. They were heavy into drafting. They made the decision, we're going to do this. We're not going to wait around. We're not going to take little steps to do this. If we're going to do it, let's do it right. And not a lot of teams do that. So I have absolutely huge, massive respect for the Rangers organization to do that. They have the young talent coming in. They brought in Panarin. They have, moving parts in net. I know that there's that triangle of goalies here that kind of swap around, and Hendrik Lundqvist is going to retire soon. So that should be all sorted out here in the next couple of years. But the team in general, I really appreciate what they've done. Not only did they embrace the rebuild, but they're succeeding in the rebuild. The Rangers, don't just ignore positionally this year. They're a scary team. You don't sleep on the Rangers. Don't sleep on Carolina either, but don't sleep on the Rangers this year or next year or the year after. The Rangers are going to do incredible things coming up, so I'm excited for that. And as I said, New York City is my favorite city in the entire world. So I really came to the realization recently that why aren't the Rangers one of my favorite teams? Why aren't they in my top 10? There's not really any reason now preventing them from being in top 10. They have to be in my top 10, so they get number 7. Number 6, the St. Louis Blues. The Blues were at one time 3rd or 4th on my list. Now they won the Stanley Cup. I still like them. I wouldn't even mind seeing them win again, but they've moved down my list a little bit. Amazing jerseys, amazing colors. Love a lot of the players on the team. Jake Allen's my favorite player or goalie in the NHL. He's from the city that I live in and grew up in, Fredericton. Number 5, the Carolina Hurricanes, and Carolina is kind of like the Rangers in a way where they went through some changes about 3-4 years ago, and I started to see some smart decisions being made in that organization. And recently, the new owner came in and made some aesthetic changes, I guess. He did a lot of things for the fans. He allowed the team to have a little bit more personality. With the whole storm surge thing at the end of the games, he brought in that. I think he was an advocate to bring in the Whalers jersey, which is awesome for jersey collectors like me. Even though I don't have that jersey, it was on sale and I didn't buy it, and I'm kicking myself. But I appreciate the modernness of the coach and the willingness to allow players and fans to have their personality be whatever they want it to be. So not only do I appreciate that, but I appreciate the play of the Carolina Hurricanes. Look what they did last year. They are the definition, I think, of underdog. They are a very well-structured team, and I love watching them play. I hope they have success. Number 4, the Colorado Avalanche. I would say that number 4 and number 3, Dallas is number 3. So the Avalanche and Dallas are pretty much tied, so you could treat Colorado as number 3 if you really want. Colorado is a team that I've always cheered for. They used to be my favorite team. If you're new to the channel and aren't aware, when Patrick Waugh left Montreal and went to Colorado, I became an Avalanche fan. I was a Patrick Waugh fan before I was a Montreal Canadiens fan, so I followed Waugh wherever he went. He went to the Avalanche. They were my favorite team until he retired, and then I went back to the Canadiens to be my favorite team. So I'll always love Colorado. I love their colors. I love their jerseys. I love Denver. Colorado's my favorite state, even though I've not really technically been there. I'd love to go. So Colorado will always be my top 5, even if they win the Stanley Cup. Same with Montreal. Number 3, Dallas. So on the same level as Colorado, Dallas is a team that I have friends in Dallas. I love their structure of their team. I love their colors. I think it's cool that they have such an incredible following being in Texas, which it really isn't a typical hockey market, and they've done cool things. I feel like I said hockey weird in that sentence. Hockey. Did I say hockey? I meant to say hockey. Anyways. Number 2, the San Jose Sharks. Sharks have been my second favorite team since 2009 or 2010. At the time, I really didn't have a favorite West team. I was really just cheering for Montreal, and I thought, okay, let's choose a West team. And I kind of went down the list and narrowed it down. And I thought, well, the San Jose Sharks have a pretty cool logo. They've got nice jerseys. They're on the coast in a beautiful part of the world, or a beautiful part of the United States. And I love Patrick Marleau. I've always really loved him. So I thought, okay, yeah, let's make San Jose my second favorite team. And then just naturally after that it was just easy to cheer for the San Jose Sharks after that. And tough past couple of years and some disappointments, but still my second favorite team. And the Montreal Canadiens, my favorite team, fortunately and unfortunately, from an emotional success standpoint, unfortunately, a team that it's not easy to cheer for. It's pretty difficult most of the time. But Dad, who you've seen on the channel and the original Post to Post channel, grew up in Montreal, and naturally I was raised to be a Canadiens fan as well. It was either that or sleep in the ditch outside, so I feel like maybe I chose right. I'm still warm and I'm still safe, and I chose to be a Canadiens fan. I suspect that the Canadiens won't win a Stanley Cup anytime in the next 10 years. They're just this team that makes questionable decisions, that doesn't commit to anything, really, that has questionable relations with a lot of the players. So I really don't have any expectations for the Canadiens. I love them, stupidly. They'll always be my favorite team, probably, even if they win a cup, but still frustrating. Anyways, thanks guys for watching. I appreciate it. If you want to leave your list down below of your favorite teams, ranked 1 to 31, down below in the comment section, feel free to. That would be awesome. I know it's a long process, but if you want to do that, that'd be cool. If you have any comments for me, leave them down below as well. Whether you agree or disagree with anything I said, I always like hearing from you guys. So if you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button as well, and I'll see you in the next video. Adios.